Soul Tribe, light energy this week, but it's packing a pretty heavy punch. We got Venus entering into Leo, and then she's going to be forming an opposition to Pluto retrograde. That should be fascinating. And then the much talked about Uranus and Mars conjunction. Stay tuned to figure out how to work with all these energies. But before we get into that, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really is just fantastic, y'all. And it keeps us expanding. And for those of you who are new, welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I'm happy that your higher self has brought you here. We're in for an amazing journey. Now, on this channel, I talk about the celestial chit-chat that's going on in the sky, because they're just all, the planets always talking. And we have a pretty lighter week this week, but it's a lot of big energies that are kind of happening here. So we want to kind of pay attention to this, but we're starting off pretty light. I kind of like this one here. I'm going to be covering the week of July 11th through the 17th. And let's start off with Jupiter Day, which is a Thursday, the 11th, at about 7:32 a.m., and that'll be Pacific time. We're going to have Venus forming a trine with Neptune retrograde at 29 degrees 55 minutes. Venus is in Cancer, Neptune's in Pisces. And now, one thing that I was thinking that would come up with this energy is that this could be a chance to, because when we're thinking about the trines, they are when the planets are 120 degrees apart. Or an easy way to even think about this, when they're in like elements. So water elements and fire elements like Sag and Leo, or earth elements, Virgo and Taurus, air elements, Libra and Gemini. You could think like elements with trines. And when you have those energies, there's this opportunities for flow. Trines can be considered very beneficial aspects. They can get things moving. And with this, I was thinking, with Neptune being as compassionate as she is and being in this reflective state right now, that this could invite you to come in with that kind of Venusian nurturing energy of Cancer, because Venus does very well in Cancer. This could be where you're looking at a situation from the past. Maybe you had a fight with someone. Maybe it's a family member when we're thinking about with Cancer. Or maybe this was just someone that you tend to on a daily basis. Maybe you had a fight with a friend. Maybe there were boundaries that were crossed. Maybe just a lot of emotions may have came through. And if this is not necessary, if we can't mend that bridge, this could at least be something where you can just exercise this forgiveness and then this release here to initiate something with Cancer. Allow yourself to feel and to get this true emotional understanding, this closure with this Venus in Cancer, and then allow that Pisces, that energy, to just kind of let that go, and then to allow this. It's a very compassionate energy that's coming through here. And I feel like it releases this weight off of your shoulder. At least that is something that I feel like could potentially happen with this. One thing I feel with the trines, though, that I want to mention, just because yes, the trines are a beneficial aspect. Depending on where you're at on your journey, things may not feel so beneficial at that movement. Sometimes we may not want any more movement. Maybe things have been moving too much and you just wanted them to slow down. And so Neptune can also bring up areas where we may have escaped, possibly, or maybe things that we've been avoiding, maybe seeing things a bit clearer. I could just see this as maybe new emotions, or maybe not necessarily even new emotions, but maybe a new way for an old situation could potentially come up. Like, for example, I'm going through a Pluto's been trining my moon since last year. And on the day that this happened, and this would have been exactly when my moon sign is at 0 degrees, 14 minutes of Gemini. And so whenever there's a mutable movement, air movement, I'm pretty much, my moon senses it right away. we get it knocked out. But that day, the beginning of it, blissed out. Trine energy was flowing, emotions were flowing. I was at home. I'd just been helping my stepdad out in the yard. We made hit the pen a little bit. It was a great old time. We were having a great time. And then I go inside, and then with Pluto brings up things from the past. We're talking with the moon, we're talking about mom. And so some things did come up, and after my whole big, I had a lot of emotions that came up. It was a whole big thing. Things kind of blew out of proportion there. Right as I finished my whole big, I did a whole performance. Right as I finished, I saw what happened. I realized what was happened, but before I could even salvage it, the moment was gone. And so I would just be mindful. I'm not saying this to say that that's what's going to happen, but it's more so if you have things that you've not been dealing with, that's something that may be where we can't put like a blinders on anymore. We might have to, it may be something that just kind of comes up. Maybe people talk or mention something that you're seeming off. Who knows how that may be. So just something to be mindful of, because while we're talking about this big dramatic stuff, Venus is going to be into the Empress will be entering into Leo at about 9:19. That's going to be on the same day. And I have Venus in Leo natively in the first house. And let me tell you, Venus in Leo is fun. This can be one. And what I like with this energy too, considering that trine, for this could be great for any sort of like creative projects. And I don't mean just for like art. This could be if you're writing music, if you want to, with that Venus Neptune trine, music, tap into your emotions. This could be art therapy, could be really great. Oh, that could be excellent for processing some sort of things. You can get a lot of inspiration and a lot of healing from these types of stuff. But this could be where maybe you're doing like graphic designs. Maybe you're feeling inspired to build a computer. Maybe you want to build cars. Maybe you're feeling whatever this is feeling like. This can be a great time to allow whatever maybe emotions that you've been having, maybe even troubles moving. Maybe something comes up that just needs to move. This Venus in Leo can allow that expression, because after Cancer, you in that time of kind of learning yourself, of learning that emotions, of learning that there is this creative within and that it can express itself. Leo is creativity, emotion, and it's not just like this thing I feel that you're doing with this Venus and Leo that may come up for you after this trine, because I love how that transition is. Leo is not necessarily something that you've learned. This is your natural intelligence. I heard another astrologer refer to it, and I like that. It's something that's just innate with you. Those people who can just have like just amazing voices, or who are just genius with numbers, or who are whatever, that just creative genius, that brilliance, that expression, that's what this Venus and Leo can bring out. This can allow you to feel and express yourself. This is a very artistic placement for Venus to be in. The Empress she's just going to town. This could be a time to go to town. This could be a time to just celebrate, to bring a bunch of laughs, a bunch of joy, a bunch of fun into your world. Maybe you've been feeling a lot and you want to shake off all this water energy. This can really be great for that. Leo just lights everything up. It just and it's like, and this is a sustainable energy too with Leo. Think of where Aries is more of that kind of like initial like flint to where you're starting that spark of life. Leo is after that spark has been made, it sustains that. It just holds that warmth. But I also feel too, I don't know how your Venus retrograde in Leo was last year, but being with Venus in Leo, this could be where you start feeling a lot of emotions and maybe some things blow up. Venus in Leo could hold some things. Leo can fix energy, holds on to stuff. This could even be holding on to grudges, and maybe now that grudge is ready to get out there. It's ready to express itself, and it's ready to do it in a very big way. I learned that I did. Usually, this is when I'm going through my Venus return, and yeah, Venus last year showed me, she hit my Venus placement 3 times. She showed me that I was the one every 3 times, each and every time. So that's just something to remember, because going into a Venus day on Friday, let's move into this next energy, because on the 12th of July at about 7:12 a.m., Venus is going to be forming an opposition with Pluto retrograde. Now, Venus will be at 1 degree in 7 minutes of Leo, and Pluto's in Aquarius. Now, this could be where, again, let's go back to that friend. Oppositions are when the planets are opposite one another. So we're talking Leo, Aquarius. We're thinking Cancer, Capricorn. We're thinking Scorpio, Taurus, Virgo, Pisces, Sag, Gemini. I think that's everybody. And this is usually some sort of outside force coming, bringing up stuff. Maybe you've been talking about doing something for a while, and then society, maybe you got a friend like, hey, whatever happened with that project? And you guys got you feeling some kind of way because, maybe if for whatever reason, circumstances, you've been maybe dragging your feet on it, for example. Or this could be where maybe it's something a bit more serious. We're talking, Leo, again, is very dramatic. Aquarius can be we're big signs here. So we're thinking that, maybe this, I could see this too as just I could see this as maybe feeling challenged by, maybe you're wanting to express yourself in some sort of way, but we're feeling challenged by society. Maybe we feel like we're not, maybe we don't feel accepted in our friend group possibly, or maybe we're feeling like the work group that we're associated with, something is not working with how you want to express yourself anymore. You're not, your heart's not in something anymore. Maybe you've, this could be, and I'm not, this is just, we're just throwing out examples. This could be maybe where, society is like, it's crazy for you to be, not be in a relationship or something right now, but you're like, you know what, no, I'm ready to be free. I want to do stuff. I want to go have fun. I want to go do something here. Maybe you're out there having fun and society's like, you can't do that. You got to be afraid of blah, 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 blah. And you're like, no, forget that. It could be a lot of things that this could be coming out. But again, it's a lot of opposing forces. So I would just be mindful of just a lot of being very self-centered, maybe with Venus and Leo. It's not that we need to, it's a balance here, of course, when we're talking about with Venus. We don't want to be so egocentrical with the Leo energy. But Leo, on the flip side, Leo's one of the most generous signs. They'll be the first to pick up a tab. And so, like, I find, like, don't want to be mindful about over giving as well, expecting society always wants you to give so much. And, you don't always have to be on all the time. That could be another thing that comes up with this kind of opposition here. So I just be mindful about any sort of like big emotions, any sort of like big sort of like, yeah, just like any sort of, if you're feeling any sort of like contentious energy. But this also could be too where I'm almost getting like a fling energy just with Venus and Leo, just because Venus and Leo does want to have fun. Leo is a very sexual energy. And so just being mindful about, I'd say even kind of like flings as well. It's not that you can't have fun, but just be mindful of who you're having fun with. Maybe it's just like, maybe we're hanging out in like I feel like, maybe it could be where someone invites you out, because it doesn't have to all be bad. Maybe it feels like that someone wants to invite you out for like a group outing, and first you're not with it, but then you happen to go out. You keep thinking this can't possibly be fun, and then you end up having like a really fun time. So that could be a way that this manifests as well. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom with oppositions. We see how the stories can flip. So just something to think about there, though, with this energy. That can be a tougher one. So yeah, just be mindful. Now, on Moon Day, this is another jam-packed day. Here's the last day before things will be a little bit quiet. But yeah, on Moon Day, Monday, the 15th of July, at about 4:44 a.m., and I love that 4:44 again. That's Pacific time, but the fun sun is going to be forming a square with Chiron at 23 degrees and 28 minutes of Cancer, and Chiron is in Aries. Now, I could see this as, when we're talking about Cancer and Aries, something may come up that may I can see this as maybe something from maybe that Venus trine came up to you. Now it's like kind of hit some sort of chord, and now, we had a conversation on Friday, you've been stewing about it, and now things have really kind of come to a head on Sunday, and you're feeling really emotional about it. This could be a lot of tension. The energy just may need to move. So if you're feeling some sort of like tense energy and you're not sure what to do with it, I would say, if you need to, I'd say like maybe find like a space where you can either like get like a punching bag, maybe go to like a gym, maybe go for a run possibly. Or if you're not that type of, like, if you need something more calming, this could be where it's like, okay, let's find a safe space. Let's maybe light some incense. Let's get zened in here. Let's go within Cancer. Let's try to draw this energy in and try to find out where this stuff is being stored, where this thing is happening here. But I just feel, because Chiron is the wound, is like our wound that we get gifts from. Chiron looks like a key on your chart. And this is the wound that we tend to, in order to unlock different gifts. Mine's in the 12th house, so it's no wonder that I'm doing, mine's in the 12th house in Cancer. So it's like getting in touch with, like, I've been doing a lot of meditation here as of late, and it's been an interesting journey. I was actually just telling a Sag friend about that. But with the squares, let me tell you about that. Squares bring tension. They're when the planets are 90 degrees apart. So you'll see this in like when you have two cardinal signs that's going to depend, of course. You'll have, like, when we're thinking about this one, Cancer and Aries, or it'd be like Aries and Capricorn, or we're thinking like Gemini and Sag, or oh, excuse me, not Gemini, Sag, Gemini and Pisces, and Gemini and Virgo. You know, those would be square ones. It's just when they form those L shapes on the chart. And so those usually bring about tension, but they're not just a tense energy. They can bring in action. You know, maybe you have some sort of like trigger that comes up for you. Maybe someone said something that really gets you riled up, but you decide, you know what, I don't have to respond to that anymore. I'm going to release myself from that. I'm going to maybe I'll put up some distance between this. I'm going to do this, or maybe you feel a lot of emotions, and then maybe you decide to, maybe on Jupiter Day, on last Thursday, you found out that you're a great singer, and then maybe you go to record a song, and then you go to release it on Spotify, and look at you, you're trending, you're popular. But it just depends, what you do with this. I do feel like this could bring up some areas, looking. And the thing, I bring up these degrees too, you want to look at where you have these points in your chart, see where this area, what houses these areas are communicating with you in. So for me, for example, with this, the sun would be in my 12th house, and Chiron would be in my 9th house. So there may be something where my beliefs are being expanded, and it's just like, what am I going to do with this? And that's kind of been what's sort of happening. There's been this sort of like expansion that's been going on, kind of like, I've been doing more. It's my 9th house is a house of travel, but it doesn't have to be just like overseas travel. This can be this sort of like traveling within, learning books and things. So I've been doing a bunch. So you just see where I'm traveling, but it is kind of changing. It's allowing me to see parts that I need to maybe let go, that are ready to be undone, in a sense, because that's the 12th house would be the house of undoing. So that can be just one way. When you're looking at the house where this is falling, it can help you kind of see, like, how does this make sense? It's like, oh, right, because I'm going through this part of my in my life. So now the last thing, the bigger thing, let me get some water for this one. We have at 7:05 a.m. Mars is going to be forming a conjunction with Uranus at 26 degrees 19 minutes of Taurus. Now, Mars, and this has happened. This conjunction has happened. This would have been about the third time, considering that Uranus spends about 7 years roughly in a sign. And yeah, Mars takes about 2 years to go around the zodiac. So this is about their third. I think it's about their third time having this conversation with this conjunction. But when you're thinking about Mars and Uranus, there's always this possibility for accidents, and it's just like more so because you're moving really fast, something suddenly happens. So with it being in Taurus, I would just say make it a day to move a little slower, maybe driving the speed limit, maybe setting, if you got a lead foot, maybe putting it on cruise control, or maybe just some things to explore there. But when we're thinking about a conjunction, that's when the planets are in the same sign. Usually it's within this pace, they're at the exact degree, but it's usually depending on the orb that you use. I like to use with these planets about 3 degrees. With the luminaries, the sun and the moon, I'll use a little bit wider, but it's usually something that's internalized that's happening. There's this internal energy that's happening. So Mars is being infused with something new. This could be, when we're talking about Taurus, maybe this is a value shift that is happening with Taurus. Maybe this is like, you put your energy towards something, you get an idea, you put it towards it, and maybe some money happens. Maybe you decide to invest in some property, and then turns out you can do all this. Who knows? Like, the thing, it doesn't have to be this super shocking thing. Now, I've heard, there's some stuff where the degree that it's falling on is falling on this fixed star Algol, which can be this really, really harsh energy that's coming up. So I find Uranus and Mars tend to go south when we're either, with Uranus, we're repressing our individuality. We're allowing something to keep us in a box, whether this be some authority figure, whether it's actually this authority figure doing this, or if it's ourselves that's doing something. Anything that's not allowing you to express your authentic self and express your values. If you're not sure what you value, this Uranus one could shake things up if there are some sort of at odds here. And Mars, we're looking at where we're being repressed, where maybe we feel like we can't do something. something, where we feel like maybe feel even kind of powerless here. That's where I feel that's where how these energies can go get pent up, and then you end up putting things on other people. And maybe with Taurus, if we're being stubborn about making a sort of shift or anything, that could be where there could be some tension there. So that's why I would pay attention to one, just a couple of things, some thoughts with that. Now, one thing I like to talk about with the conjunctions in particular, just because they're on the same degree as one another, I like to talk about the Sabian symbols. And if that's something you were curious about, I definitely looked that up. It's a very, very fascinating. It adds this extra layer of nuance to the chart readings. But the Sabian symbol for this is phase 57 of Taurus, which is an old Native American woman selling the artifacts of her tribe to passers-by. And the keynote for this is peaceful adaptation to collective needs. And I love this, because so look at that. We're already talking peace. It doesn't have to be. I feel this can be one where, this woman is bringing artifacts from her tribe. She's bringing something personal to her, this Uranus energy, and showing you new ways of utilizing your energy. Maybe there's this new pots that she's bringing, and it has a certain style that can sustain the water a certain way, or it just shows me this sign gives me the appreciation for the unique energies that we all have, for the unique values that we have, and how they can all blend together, where when we're all working towards that same goal, when we're all just walking back toward, trying to return to that sense of oneness, to that sense of source, still maintaining that individuality, but keeping that understanding that there's still that oneness, I feel that it just changes how we shift and how we all elevate, I feel like this can be an invitation to not feel like you have to assert your values with Mars. To feel like that, allow people to have other opinions. You don't have to necessarily, like I'm thinking, for example, I was talking with a friend. I was like, I could be, really big in astrology and just talk away, blah, 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 blah. I don't expect people to have the same sort of passion in things along those lines with me. I'm not going to get upset if your eyes kind of glaze over, if you do what's not. I was actually talking to my partner about this, and it's like, he's like, I'm like, I apologize. I said, I don't mean to act like I'm not listening, but it's like, listen, I'm going to keep saying this. I said, I'm more so kind of talking for me than for you. You just happen to be here is just a bonus. Clearly I have no problem talking and doing monologue, but I was just like, he has interest. I have zero interest in, but we can both coexist, and I can still listen, because sometimes the stuff you talk about is fascinating. Other times it's just like, well, we just throw it in orbit. Just oh, okay. But I just feel that this can be where, how do we adapt to what the collective needs, because there are a lot of needs that are needing to be tended to, that could be dealt with in a more peaceful manner. I remember hearing something. It's like, they can't have peace without war, and I feel like there's a perspective shift that can happen with that there's this, and I'm not, where there's this, with everything that's happening. It's that I feel like where, yes, you can't be in the state of stagnancy with Taurus, but I feel peace doesn't have to mean we're not doing anything. I feel there's a more constructive, a more innovative Uranus way of working with the energies, a more innovative way that can benefit everyone, because there's enough abundance for everyone and then some. If we all collectively channel this energy into what the planet needs, for what then it would solve a lot of problems. This journey wouldn't have to feel, I got some cards sitting out here. I draw some cards every day. This journey would have to feel like the Ten of Wands here, like a burden. But you know what? While I happen to have this, this says with this, this like, ask your angels for help to lighten the load, working too many hours, trying too hard to please others. And I feel that this energy too is just like, I feel like we've been putting our energy towards other people's values. And it's just like, what do you want? What do you want to invest in? And that, if that so happens to align with other people's, dope. But make sure that it's yours. The things that you're investing in, that you're putting your energy towards, because we need that uniqueness in order to elevate. You not being yourself does no one any good. Me trying to be like some such and such, or being like this and that, is not going to do anyone any good, because no one, just like I can't expect anyone to bring 5 stacks of Leo, I can't bring 5 stacks of water. So we compromise, we trade notes, and then see what comes from that, And that's the thing too. I feel like this can be when we exchange new stuff, we collaborate, we co-create, we ascend. I thought there was going to be a cool third C in there, but it's fine. It's cool, and I'm leaving it there. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Otherwise, I feel like this could be, I like the energies overall this week, but just watch out for a couple of these little bumps here. But, it's all a matter of perspective, I feel, when we come with these energies. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be. I feel like there's been a lot of hype that's been talked about with this Mars and Uranus conjunction. It can be a big deal, but if we all have that intention towards, again, that elevation, I feel like it can be fantastic. But until the next one, stay mindful out there. Keep raising the vibration through the roof. Seize the day and the night. And I will catch you on the next one. Later.